Welcome to the RadioU podcast. Coming up, Apple finally made an emoji that looks like me.
Also, Nene doesn't know his yen.
All that and more on the way next. Hudson and Allie with you on the RadioU podcast once again because of the spring fundraiser. We get to talk directly to our podcast friends.
Aw, don't you feel special?
Yeah, this is special. This is just our time. A time where we can remind you, though, that you can't avoid our fundraiser just by listening to the podcast because we do need money from our podcast fans as well. RadioU.com or the RadioU app. Your donation keeps this podcast going and all of the other great stuff that RadioU does. So definitely get a donation in. Now, Allie, I don't know if you saw the big news that came out yesterday.
I'm not sure of what you are referring to.
All of the details on the Nintendo Switch 2.
Ah, yes.
First of all, we have a release date, a launch date, June 5th.
Okay, so soon.
And I know probably the next question you're asking before anything else, how much is it?
Yeah, how much?
So you could get just the Nintendo Switch 2
Okay.
for $450.
Wow.
Or, and this is what I would definitely choose to do, you can get the Nintendo Switch 2 Mario Kart bundle, which comes with Mario Kart World, which is the new version of Mario Kart. It's an open world Mario Kart.
What?
Yeah, so like you can explore and blah, blah, blah. And that is $500.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So for $50
So an extra
more.
$50 you get the game
That's
as well.
definitely what I would do and might do.
Okay, so you're considering this.
I'm considering it. My Xbox is old, man.
Okay.
And so I got
So you need a new console.
I got to upgrade to one of the new ones, and I love me some Mario Kart. So I might have to go ahead and get the Nintendo Switch 2.
Well, I did hear about this because Nene is a big Mario Kart fan. And so when we were recording some stuff earlier in the week, he mentioned to me, he's like, yeah, they just released the information for the Switch. And he's like, here's how much yen it's going to cost. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Like, I have no reference for this. And so he was talking about that bundle with the Mario Kart and with the new Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Because he wants the Mario Kart, obviously. He's the big Mario Kart guy. And he's like, I think it's going to be around $350. Well, that's not correct.
That would
conversion
be
was completely wrong.
unbelievable if that was actually true.
Yeah, because I was like, that sounds like a great deal.
Yeah.
That's a steal for sure. So Nene's conversions are not correct.
Well, let's give him credit and also criticize him. That may be the price in Japan. If he was talking yen, it could be cheaper there.
So we need to go
because they don't have to ship it anywhere. Like, we've heard about tariffs now.
Yep.
Are they tariffing the Nintendo? They might be.
Oh, I didn't think of
They
that.
actually might be, or at least the materials that are used to make. I don't know. So that also, or maybe he just converted it wrong. But also critique where critique is due.
Okay.
Why didn't he just look on the Nintendo website? It was posted right there in American dollars.
I was confused about too, because I was like, where did you even see a post that had the yen amount on it, instead of the US dollar amount? But anyways, I will let him know what the actual price is now. He said he's torn on what he wants to do for this year because he knows he needs a new console, but he is torn as far as if he wants to get Mario Kart and the new Nintendo Switch, or if he wants to get GTA 6 whenever that comes out, and the new Xbox.
If that comes
out. If it comes out. I think it's a more sure deal now that the Nintendo Switch and this new Mario Kart game are obviously coming out. We have a release date for them now than the GTA 6 deal. But I'm like, yeah, you have a little pickle right there. Which choice? Because those are not cheap.
Yeah. If he was here, I know what I'd tell him.
What would you tell him?
I would tell him he should get the Xbox.
Okay.
Because Mario Kart is such a game to play with friends. And he's got so many friends.
That's
and
true.
Some of his friends are going to get the Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah.
And so he can just go over to their house and play, or apartment or whatever, and play like he's in elementary school.
Right. Mom, can I go over to Justin's and play the new Nintendo Switch?
Exactly. It was Justin for me. Justin was my next door neighbor.
Really?
Yeah. And he had all the cool video games.
Nice.
And I didn't. But then I'd go.
We were the family that had some of the cool video games, but we're talking about like the Nintendo 64.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that was
the OG.
Yeah. Speaking of, that had one of the great James Bond games of all time.
Dude, we had that James Bond game.
Yeah, Golden Gun,
that.
right?
Golden Gun,
yes.
Yeah. We had that game, but I will say the amount of time I spent playing Ocarina of Time, Zelda, absurd amount of time on the Nintendo 64.
You'll be happy to know that there is going to be a new Legend of Zelda, speaking of Tears of the Kingdom on the new Nintendo Switch 2. And there's a new James Bond game called Project 007.
Nice.
That'll be worked on for the new Switch as well.
I still will not be getting the new Switch.
I think you know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to get it when it comes out.
Okay.
And so maybe that once the hype
Black
dies
Friday
down,
deal, maybe.
Yeah, but that's what I'm thinking. Christmas time.
Yep.
I think when it goes on sale, even cheaper, maybe I can get it for $350.
Yeah, I think for Black Friday, it's an easy thing to think that it would be much cheaper by that time.
Yeah, so maybe do that. Save some money. Wait till then.
Yep.
And in the meantime, that money you save, give it to RadioU because the spring fundraiser is still going on. RadioU.com or the RadioU app to donate. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Yes.
Now, I've seen on airplanes video before of flight attendants having to physically restrain passengers by duct taping them to the seat. Mm-hmm. I knew they could do that. It feels a little extreme, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I never thought they would have to do this. But on a flight, it seems from San Francisco to Fiji, the island nation of Fiji, there's video of flight attendants not only restraining a woman with duct tape, but also duct taping her mouth because she wouldn't stop screaming allegedly racist and vulgar things.
Oh my goodness.
They had to shut her up with duct tape.
Oh man. Yeah. Reading this story, and also there's some video from it as well, obviously, because people have to take video whenever they see an incident like this.
Yeah.
So we get to see the lovely events unfold on this plane, but it just looks sad. That's all
sad.
I can describe it as.
It is sad, and I don't even understand it because you're going to Fiji,
right?
Why would you? What about flying to Fiji? How could you not be in a good mood?
Right?
How could you not be hopping on that plane with a smile ear to ear on your face? And instead, she's hopping on that plane and starts screaming epithets for some reason. I don't know. I don't understand it at all. And, I wish that the flight attendant doesn't have to go to these lengths to get her to be quiet. And I'm sure that, that's a long flight. I don't think the entire time she was just sitting there after they duct taped her mouth. I don't think she was sitting there quietly. I bet you she was still, and what is actually worse? Definitely the racist stuff. But that's the close, that'd also be annoying.
Yeah, they definitely said that it continued throughout. Apparently, it was like a situation where this woman was intoxicated, not surprised. Mm-hmm. And her husband, I guess, that she was traveling with, no longer wanted to sit with her. I don't know what was going on.
Why not?
I don't know what was happening, but he no longer wanted to sit with her, so he requested to be moved. They moved him. She kept asking where he'd been moved to. They wouldn't tell her, and so she just kicked off. And then, of course, things had to get more insane when they were restraining her. Mm-hmm. This self-proclaimed preacher got up and started saying that she was possessed and started to say things. And so it was just an overall very chaotic scene. I feel bad for anyone that was on that flight.
Yeah, because all those people too, they're thinking I'm about to the majority of them, I'm going on a nice vacation. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling great. And there's a long flight. I'll probably sleep through it. No, you won't.
Nope.
No, you will not. But the good news for everybody except the woman on the plane is they landed in Fiji. The woman that was cursing anyways.
Yeah.
And so they all, hopefully it'll be easy for them to forget and move on because they get to enjoy probably a nice island vacation.
Yes. Hopefully it'll all be fine in the end.
What a move by the husband, though. He requested to be moved before she went on a racist tirade.
Apparently she was already starting to kick off a little bit, but it wasn't getting too out of hand.
Yeah.
And then I guess enough nearby passengers were like, I'm tired of covering my child's ears. Can you please just make this woman stop? So, yeah.
In other words, this is not the first time for the husband that this has happened.
It seems like he's used to having to separate himself.
This is a pattern for her. Well, maybe he'll just ask to not sit next to her permanently for the rest of his life. Starbucks continues to slowly and surely make changes to, what they used to be. They got a new CEO a while back, and he's got a lot of things he wants to do differently, although in a way, the same as they were before. the other CEO was there. The new change is that now if you go to Starbucks and you order for here, they very likely will give you an actual glass or an actual ceramic mug for your drink instead of the typical paper or plastic cup that you would take for a to-go order.
Oh.
Now, some people appreciate this, of course, because it makes it feel, and the idea is to make it feel a little more like, I think the words the CEO Brian Nickel used is it makes it a more inviting place to linger.
Okay.
Because you've got a mug that you can't walk away with, and you just feel more, it feels more at home.
Yeah.
Feels a little more comfortable. However, for some reason, I don't really know the exact reasoning. They're just like, well, this is annoying. And that includes many Starbucks employees for some reason, and some that just really prefer getting the old plastic or paper cups for their drinks.
I'm sure for the Starbucks employees, they're like, well, now we have to clean all of these. That adds an extra task to our job. And I get that. I've worked in, this type of environment before, and I understand how that stuff can get piled up and can get annoying.
Well, if they've got the dishwasher that like you just pull down the lever on it, that's actually
easier.
Fun and easy. Yeah,
that makes it easier.
That's like the best job you can have. I mean, you don't get tips, but it is easy.
Yeah, so hopefully
that's why they always put me back there.
Hopefully they're equipped with that. But obviously, if you're not used to doing that, it may seem annoying at first. But I think this is a fun idea. I mean, when you go to a sit-down restaurant, you get like a glass, that's an actual like glass.
Yeah, it feels better.
Or if you order coffee, you get an actual mug. And so, I mean, it makes sense. If you order to sit down, maybe you want something like this. It's also probably, less wasteful.
That's one of the main positives that Starbucks is touting, besides that it makes you more likely for you to stay and linger a little while. They also say that it will help them reach their sustainability goals because they are attempting by 2030 to make 100% of their cups compostable, recyclable, or reusable. Obviously, if they're giving you actual mugs or glasses inside the store, those are reusable until they fully break or at least get the little chips in them that are harbors for bacteria.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is a great idea. I mean, here's the thing. I don't drink coffee, so I'm not like into the Starbucks world or whatever. So I guess I shouldn't really have too much of a preference.
But they have there's more to Starbucks than coffee, Allie.
That's true.
There's like juicy things that they have there too. That's what the glasses would be for.
Yeah. But I would imagine that if you were a person that's like, I'm gonna come in and stay for a little bit, but then I want to be able to take my cup with me as I leave, it might be a little annoying for that.
Well, I don't want to speak for Starbucks here.
Okay.
But I'm almost 100% sure that if you say, I'm ordering for here, but I want it in a to-go cup, they'll just do that for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
In
If
fact,
you are asking for it, they will do it.
In fact, you can do what I do at many restaurants to save on tax, and that is say it's to go, even though it's for there. That saves a couple cents every time I go to a restaurant.
It does, but that's not very fair of you.
Well, I never know when I might want to go.
Well, fair enough, but that extra like money, I think, is also to help them with like paying their employees who have to then go clean the table after you just ate
it's a
at
tax.
it.
No, it's a tax.
Oh, there's a special tax for you to sit in?
Depending on where you are, yeah. And so I just order to go just to be safe. Unless it's at Cracker Barrel or something.
Yeah.
And then they don't do to go, do they?
I don't know.
Now, if you're a celebrity, no longer do you have to worry about cancel culture coming for your head. That's not because cancel culture has been stopped in its tracks, but instead because a insurance agency known as Samfire Risk has launched their new cancel culture insurance policy for those who fear being canceled one day. What does the cancel culture insurance policy come with? They call it Preempt. You get crisis management communication services designed to help you minimize the damage done by online outrage. You also get 60 days of communications work after your inciting offense that will work to negate negative coverage on both social media and in traditional media, and access to a 24/7 hotline. This is not what I was expecting.
Okay, what were you expecting?
I thought that it was literally like if you get canceled for some reason, you get compensated for the lost money that you presumably would have made if you had not ever been canceled.
Oh.
Like that's what insurance means to me, doesn't it?
Sure, but also if you are a celebrity, it costs money for PR.
That's true.
So this would be, you're already paying for that PR to be done.
And it might be harder once you get canceled to find somebody to step in and do PR for you.
Exactly.
In the time when you need it most.
I suppose, yeah.
So you preemptively get this.
If you have a fair weather friend for your PR team.
Yeah, your publicist. Yeah. Now, I don't know that it wouldn't be public who buys this, but it would be telling, wouldn't it? The people that are like, well, I'm not so sure what's back on my Twitter and other video comments I may have made back in the day. So just to be sure, let me purchase the cancel culture insurance.
This seems awfully close to like the whole, the Diddy list is coming soon thing,
Interesting timing to say the least.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff floating around right now that's, exposing some celebrities in situations as far as like they're, maybe in some bad company.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like oddly timed at all.
No, definitely not. I don't think they're related in any way. I do think that this is interesting too, because I feel like it's it's such a small amount of people that have been like actually functionally canceled where like they cannot make money anymore the way they used to. They might have to change the venue in which they make money. But I feel like for people that have been canceled, it's either usually very justifiable, or they aren't really canceled. Like it's a very small minority of people that have been unjustifiably canceled to me.
Right. I will say I'm not a huge fan of cancel culture in general. I do think it's a mob mentality, and so overall, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
But I also do feel like the tides have shifted in recent years, and people have started to realize like this cancel culture thing is very toxic. Mm-hmm. And, there's especially, we were just talking about God and, making good of the time that you have in this life and in this world and all of that. And so as a person that believes in God, as a person that is a Christian, I believe in the redeeming nature of God. And so I never believe that someone can truly be canceled and cannot be, saved and changed in their life. And so I find cancel culture to be completely antithetical to my morals and beliefs as a Christian.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too, especially when it's one thing that was a long time ago that like may very well be wrong, but everybody has something at some point that they probably said or done that they regret. And if we started canceling every single person that has that, we would be left with not much of us left.
Right.
That said too, I also feel like some people are just able to power through being canceled. And that, what that
and they actually love it.
Some people almost want to be canceled, it seems. But I think that if you do, in many cases, again, this is not I don't want this to be a blanket statement, but a lot of times if you get canceled and you can't power through it means that people just didn't like you that much in the first place. Like if it wasn't that, it was going to be something else. People just didn't like you.
I guess.
And so no matter how much insurance you have, your time was coming. The Chinese culture fascinates me. This is so interesting. In China right now, according to the South China Morning Post, it has become more of a trend for men in China to wear so-called Adam's apple bras. They are a little strap. It straps around your neck, and then it has kind of a bigger piece that would go over your Adam's apple. The idea was put forth by a Chinese influencer that is a female woman who describes the Adam's apple for a man as a sensitive area. And so similar to how a woman wouldn't be topless, neither then should a man be exposing his Adam's apple. And thus the men there should start wearing Adam's apple bras in the spirit of equality and empowering women. And so some guys have started doing that. I have pictures here.
I'm looking at the photos, and basically how I describe it is it looks like almost like a pirate eye patch.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Just
on the neck. It looks so dumb. What are you doing?
It's a great way to add some flair and fashion to your outfit, whether you want to do the most popular one, which is based off of a pig's snout. Which is real cute, or you want to go with like a pattern on there, I feel like, we already have other ways of doing that, of taking care of this issue that I kind of prefer here in the United States, like ascots are one good way that you can that you can cover up your indecent area on your in the center of your throat if you're a man. Bow ties, I guess they don't go quite up high enough, right? Turtlenecks. What about turtlenecks? There are other ways, but this is one way to go about it.
Yeah, this is a no from me. As a woman, I will tell you, men, don't do this. It's not attractive. It looks absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion.
Allie, everything isn't about being attractive.
Okay, but I'm just saying, if you are a single man and are contemplating whether you should wear a Adam's apple bra, I will tell you, don't do that. I don't know a single man in my life that would, and thank goodness, because this looks very dumb.
I think that's one of the great things about our country, is that we're sitting here talking about this, but I really would be surprised if anybody's going, that's a good idea. The Adam's apple bra. Why didn't I think of that? Unless they were thinking of selling it to people that would buy it.
Yeah.
That is a market we could get into.
I am worried that there are some people in the world that would want to wear this, but I do feel like for the most part, this would be a no from most men.
There may be something that's lost in translation.
That's
here,
true.
Because I understand if it's coming from the place of women are in some ways looked down upon still in China or something like that. And so that's what the woman said. She's trying to make everything equal and fair, whatever. I don't know if this is there must be better ways to me.
I was going to say, how does this help with equality? I don't really know.
Levels the playing field.
Yeah.
You don't understand the advantage that I have, Allie, by being able to expose my Adam apple.
Adam's apple.
Yeah. It's actually, yes. The places I've gotten in life because of my Adam's apple.
Yeah.
Being exposed. The list goes on. I intend to continue adding to it. I'm worried. I'm concerned that I'm going to get coerced into running a half marathon at some point.
Coerced?
Yeah, I feel like because you think about how I try to walk to stay in shape, right?
Yeah.
That's like the maximum amount of exercise I'm willing to put in. Mm-hmm. But it's just hit the point where that's not enough.
Okay.
And I need to do more.
Okay.
And so what can you do next besides walk is run.
Yes.
And then I see this, that in China, they are organizing this April, the very first ever humans versus robots half marathon. For the first time ever, humans and robots will be competing against each other in a race, about 13 miles, of course, because it's a half marathon, to determine. It's supposed to encourage tech companies in China to, push themselves to be able to come up with a humanoid robot that can achieve what a human could achieve. To me, I feel like it may almost be my duty as a human to not just run for me, but to run for our entire human race, to defeat the robots and remind them who's in charge. And it's me.
Well, I don't think that would be incredibly hard to do. I believe not too long ago, we talked about the fastest robot in the world, which was not very fast in, human standard as far as running. So it was nowhere near like the fastest humans, and not even near like most average humans as far as speed goes. And also, even if you're thinking, well, they'll just outrun me because they can run longer. Yeah. Robots still don't have the technology to run that long most of the time anyways. And so a lot of them can only run for like 30 minutes before they have to stop.
So you're saying that I should be able to win?
I think you're safe.
I think I can do it. The parameters of the race, the robots have to be between 1.5 and 6.5 feet tall, and they cannot have wheels, of course. That would be unfair.
Absolutely.
I don't know if the same requirements apply to humans in the race. Do they have to be under 6.5 feet tall?
I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't say here, but people have told me before that I have a runner's body.
Okay.
And so I feel even more that it may be my
Your destiny.
my destiny. Yes, it may be. You don't get to choose your destiny oftentimes, but it just may be what I must do is take my runner's body, my long, luscious legs, and generally thin physique, and challenge the robots in this half marathon and defeat them.
Yeah, I think that is right. That's exactly what you need to do.
Someone has to do it.
You got to travel to China.
And there's no one else besides me that I've heard say that they're up for the challenge.
Yeah, no one in this half marathon thinks they can do it.
Do you think I could train for a half marathon in the span of basically 3 months?
As a person that's never run before, like you have never run before. I do run. I run, but I don't run that far of a distance in my running. I usually go about 3 miles is the most I do in one run. But I would, if you really pushed it, you could probably get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I train every day anyways.
Well, you need to start running.
Yeah, I know, but I already have the time set aside.
Yeah. If you start running 30 minutes a day, then and start working your way up, you could probably get there.
This is what I'm afraid of is the time commitment.
Yeah.
I only have 30 minutes, and I know half marathons take more time than that.
They take a little bit longer depending on how fast you go, but yeah, they would take a little longer than that.
But for the human race, I just feel like I must. I feel like a calling upon me. To defeat the robots in whatever way I can.
This music is very fitting behind you right now. It's like very encouraging.
We have to start a slow clap. We all have to defeat the robots however we can. We all have to do our part. I don't have very many parts I can do, but maybe running is.
No one can see me right now, but I'm cheering Hudson on in the background. Thanks for listening to the RadioU podcast. Don't forget to rate and review the show.